Chapter 841. Your Highness. Following this voice, a group of people suddenly walked out from behind Luo Qingtong. These people had a vast and ethereal aura. Almost every one of them was above the saint realm. The aura around them was constantly in harmony with the spiritual energy in the surrounding air. What was even more shocking was that they were wearing the uniforms of the officials. Your Highness, what are you doing here? The court official of the Chu sacred dynasty who spoke first looked at Luo Qingtong, who was surrounded by the Huo family with the Chu family. He hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. The Empress Dowager's wedding ceremony is about to begin. Why aren't you accompanying Empress Dowager at this time? And what's going on? You are from the Huo family? The court official looked at the Huo family who were confronting Luo Qingtong and the others in surprise. The latter and the others' faces were already numb. Your Highness. The Empress Dowager. Empress Dowager. This court official didn't say much, but he clearly explained Luo Qingtong's identity. Other than that young girl who had saved the Great Chu from collapse, thwarted Great Yong's conspiracy, and preserved the Great Chu's throne, who else would be worthy of the respectful salute and the greeting of Your Imperial Highness, by the Great Chu imperial family's transcendent sage? There were many princesses in the world, but there was only one person in the entire Chu who could make the court officials bow and bend their knees and call her Your Highness. That was Princess Xingning. She was the holy conferred princess. The faces of the Huo family members instantly turned green. As for the Huo family disciple who was still laughing wildly and asking who Luo Qingtong was and how she dared to say that the Huo family couldn't keep her, he was so shocked that he was speechless, as though his neck was being strangled. His throat made a sound like a rusty machine and he looked at Luo Qingtong with extreme shock. His face was completely frozen in place. This girl was the holy conferred princess? The holy conferred princess. That Huo clan disciple who had been incomparably arrogant just a moment ago, was now like a chicken that had its neck choked. The Huo family member who had been watching from the side with a faint sneer on his face and didn't take Luo Qingtong's words seriously also changed his expression. How was this possible? This young girl was actually the legendary princess. The Huo family member's forehead instantly broke out in a cold sweat, almost wetting his hair. He thought of the words that the Huo family member had just said to Luo Qingtong and almost fainted in an instant. My God! What did the Huo family members do? They wanted to capture the holy conferred princess and make her the exclusive property of the Huo family members. Thinking of Luo Qingtong's words. Just a moment ago they had treated this sentence as a joke. At this moment who would treat Luo Qingtong's words as a joke? How is this possible? The Huo family member trembled and said, the holy conferred princess is so respected. How can she be with such a group of low-level countries? When he said this, his voice suddenly stopped abruptly. He remembered. When Tai Yao and Princess Xingning entered the holy city to propose, they did say that they were from the Luo family of Dongli country. But in the end, the miracle created by Luo Qingtong and Luo Qingtong was amazing. Everyone only remembered the black field behind them and their powerful strength and talent. They forgot where they were from. Princess Xingning was indeed from Dongli country. And the Chu family was also from Dongli country. Chapter 842. That Huo family disciple had already collapsed to the ground, his face filled with indescribable fear and despair. How could he have thought that he would bump into Luo Qingtong, who he could not provoke, when he was just casually bullying a family from a low-level country? Who would have thought that the Ran family, a weak family that he had played with and abandoned, would have Luo Qingtong as their backing? If he had known, he would never have done anything to the Ran family. He would never have had any thoughts about Luo Qingtong, let alone speak rudely to her. He even wanted to worship the Ran family. To be able to be invited to the wedding banquet, the Ran family and the Luo family must have a close relationship. If he had treated Ran Miao Miao well and not humiliated them to death, he might have been able to enter the Huo family and soar to the top. Thinking of this, that Huo family disciple's face was filled with fear, despair and remorse. Needless to say, the Huo family leader beside him had already knelt on the ground, kowtowing desperately to Luo Qingtong as he begged for mercy. Your Highness. We have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. Please spare our lives. Please spare our lives. Behind that Hua family leader was a group of guards who were just about to capture Luo Qingtong back to the Hua family and make her into the Hua family's exclusive property. At this moment, these people's faces were filled with fear and despair. Their bodies were trembling like rice grains, and each one of them knelt on the ground to beg for mercy, almost knocking their foreheads to the point of bleeding. Your Hua family is powerful, I can't afford to offend you. Luo Qingtong's expression was indifferent, and she had already released the strength she was about to use. If these officials hadn't come just now, these Hua family members would be dead meat. But now that they were here, there was naturally a better way to deal with these people. Delusional of wanting to control me and make me into the Hua family's exclusive property, your Hua family is very bold. Luo Qingtong's voice was cold. Hearing her words, the officials in front of her froze. The Hua family was too bold. Anyone who insults the princess will die. Moreover, Luo Qingtong was not an ordinary princess. Behind her was Empress Dowager Xianxia Blackfield. These people from the Hua clan were really courting death. Princess, Princess, we didn't know it was you. Everyone from the Hua clan wailed. Their hearts were filled with regret and despair. They hated the troublemaker to the core. If he hadn't tried to hurt Luo Qingtong, the Hua family wouldn't have ended up like this. Humiliating the Xi family and humiliating the princess were two completely different crimes. The former could still be saved. The latter could not be saved. Your Highness. Your Highness. The members of the Hua clan howled in grief, but Luo Qingtong ignored them completely. She directly said to the ministers beside her, "From today onwards, the holy capital will no longer have the Hua clan." Just because they didn't know who she was, they could bully her as they pleased? What if she didn't have her current status today? What if she wasn't strong enough to go against the Hua family? Was he going to let them bully and humiliate him? Just saying that they didn't know was enough? Then if she destroyed the Hua family, she could still say that she was careless and heavy-handed. Luo Qingtong's eyes were cold, but when she looked at the Xi family, they became gentle. She still remembered how the Xi family desperately tried to delay the Hua family and let her leave. Grandfather Xi, this time you came to the holy capital, don't leave. The Hua family's property will all be inherited by you. All members of the Hua family will be your slaves. Chapter 843. This was the first time Luo Qingtong had used her status as Chu's princess to oppress people. Other than the cries and wails of the Hua clan, the ministers of Chu who came together did not make a sound. The dignity of a princess could not be insulted. That was the title of a princess with the word saint in her name. She was the one who inherited the destiny of a nation. Insulting Luo Qingtong was the same as insulting Chu. Luo Qingtong only destroyed the Hua clan and did not kill them, which was already a great kindness. As for the disposal of the Hua clan, it was all Luo Qingtong's decision. If she wanted to give the Hua clan to others, no one could say anything. It was just that in just one day the power structure of the holy capital had changed again, which was really beyond everyone's expectations. The people of the Ran clan felt like they were in a dream. They were just being humiliated like ants in front of the Hua clan. That scumbag who cheated and abandoned Ran Miao Miao even wanted to break their legs and throw them out of Chu's holy capital in front of everyone. Now the people of the Hua clan were kneeling in front of them, wailing and begging for mercy, and were about to become their slaves. And they had also jumped from a weak family from Eastern Fence to a big family in Chu's holy capital. The Hua clan of holy capital would become the Ran clan of holy capital in the future. This series of rapid changes all came from Luo Qingtong. In front of them was a beautiful and graceful girl. Her Highness the Princess? Luo Qingtong was actually a princess of Chu. Looking at the situation, she was not an ordinary princess. Even the ministers of the holy capital had to respect her. And the Hua clan of holy capital, a big family that was incomparably confident and arrogant, could be destroyed with a word from Luo Qingtong. Luo Qingtong, what did she do in Chu? How could she have such honor? Luo clan's girl. Old Master Rant's lips twitched. Before he could speak, Luo Qingtong spoke with a smile. Grandpa Ran, you can stay here at ease. You can be my grandfather's companion. He only has you as an old friend. The holy capital has far more resources than the Eastern Hedge. For the sake of the Feng family's future, don't refuse. As for the rest, you don't have to worry so much. Luo Qingtong understood Grandfather Rant's concerns. He was afraid that if they suddenly appeared in the holy capital and replaced the Hua clan, they would attract a backlash from the other powers. It would be disadvantageous to her grandfather and them. But he didn't know that Empress Dowager Yanxi was her grandmother. Old Master Luo didn't just want to marry Empress Dowager Yanxi. With the two of them, the Feng family was as stable as Mount Tai in holy capital. No one would find trouble with them, let alone attack her and her grandfather. Empress Dowager Yanxi would not let such a thing happen. After all, that was the iron-blooded and lofty Empress Dowager Yanxi who was the regent for a dynasty. Thinking of her grandparents, Luo Qingtong smiled. With Luo Qingtong's persuasion, Grandpa Luo no longer insisted. After all, if he wasn't afraid of implicating Luo Qingtong and Grandpa Luo, he wouldn't refuse at all. The Hua clan of the holy capital, how much resources was that? It was enough to transform the Feng family from the inside out. Not to mention that Luo Qingtong had left many experts of the Hua clan as servants. With the Great Chu sacred dynasty's methods, how could they be afraid of a rebellion? This was really like a carp leaping over the dragon gate. Grandpa Luo was so excited that he couldn't control himself. He swore in his heart that from now on the Feng and Luo clans would live and die together. Chapter 844. Luo Qingtong didn't think too much about it. In the beginning, she only wanted to keep the Luo family in the holy capital to accompany Grandfather Luo. After all, Grandfather Luo didn't have many old friends, and the Luo family was the only one left. Since the Hua family had jumped out to court death, she would naturally fulfill their wish and save the trouble of making arrangements for the Luo family. After clarifying the Hua family's matter, Luo Qingtong leaped and appeared in a remote area outside the holy capital of Great Chu. Now it's time for me to give Grandpa and the others a gift. Luo Qingtong smiled and raised her hand to release her spirit ship. With Luo Qingtong's current status, she could naturally get a better spirit ship. However, Luo Qingtong was already used to this spirit ship. Moreover, Luo Qingtong had drawn many inscription patterns and formations on this spirit ship. Although it looked like an Earth-level spirit ship, in fact its various functions even surpassed a heaven-level ship. In some aspects, even a heaven-level spirit ship couldn't do it. Therefore, Luo Qingtong didn't change her ship. Let's go. Let's go give Grandpa and Grandma some gifts. After a little disguise, Luo Qingtong put on the sinister and terrifying Rakshasa mask. As the Rakshasa mask was fastened on her face, Luo Qingtong instantly turned into the evil and domineering youth. Evil Dr. Ghost Pupil. Zhoosh. Luo Qingtong's figure leaped up. Little Pig jumped out of her sleeve with a big red flower hanging in front of his chest. The whole pig was happy. Let's go. Let's go give the gifts. Little Pig jumped onto the spirit ship and Luo Qingtong waved her hand. Numerous jade bottles and gift boxes flew out from the ring in her hand like an ocean. In an instant, the entire surface of the spirit ship was covered with jade bottles and gift boxes. If someone knew that these jade bottles were filled with medicinal pills, who knew how many people would be frightened? In the true Spill continent, an alchemist wouldn't easily appear. Only an alchemy grandmaster would be able to come up with something as extravagant as Luo Qingtong. So many medicinal pills as a gift to congratulate a newcomer. The most valuable one was the golden jade and glazed box in Luo Qingtong's hand. Inside was a multicolored radiance that filled the air. It was the bloodline pill. Bearing the fate of the Great Yong sacred dynasty and the bloodline power of the 7th prince of Great Yong, Luo Qingtong's slender hands were held in Luo Qingtong's slender hands. Along with the activation of the spirit ship, they flew in the direction of the sacred capital of Great Chu. Yi Qianming also said that he wanted to give a gift. I don't know what he is going to give. Don't be suppressed by me. Luo Qingtong thought so, and the smile on her lips was unusually evil and enchanting. There weren't many opportunities to suppress that man. Thinking about it, she was quite excited. Of course, if she could openly suppress that man with her own strength, she would be even more excited. Thinking so, Luo Qingtong suddenly licked her lips. Let's go. The spirit ship flew to somewhere outside the main gate of the sacred capital of Great Chu. There were already people from the Black Field waiting there. Following Luo Qingtong's order, The group immediately steered the flying boat and flew towards the holy capital of the Great Chu dynasty. Boom boom boom. In the imperial palace of Great Chu, seeing Luo Qingtong's fleet coming in and seeing the evil character hanging high above, 12 saluting cannons shot into the sky from all directions of the imperial palace of Great Chu. Chapter 845. In the Great Chu Imperial Palace, Empress Dowager Xianxia and Old Master Luo were receiving guests from various forces. Old Master Luo had never been as glorious and happy as he was today. Not only had he married his lover and fulfilled the regret of so many years, he was even able to stand in the Great Chu dynasty's imperial palace and invite guests from all over to congratulate him. All of this was something he had never dreamed of before. After knowing that Empress Dowager Xianxia had become the Empress Dowager of Great Chu, Old Master Luo only had one wish, and that was to be able to accompany her by her side. It didn't matter how he lived, whether he lived as an enemy or as a eunuch. Even if he was tortured and resented, it was fine as long as he could be by her side. At that time, how could he have thought that he would be able to marry her in the end? And all of this was thanks to Luo Qingtong. At this moment, after Old Master Luo was busy, he suddenly discovered that Luo Qingtong, who was originally by his side, had disappeared. Strange, where did that girl Qingtong go? Old Master Luo was about to send someone to look for Luo Qingtong when he suddenly heard a clamor outside. This clamor, even at this moment when guests were coming and going, was so clear. Just as Old Master Luo was wondering who could make these guests so surprised, he heard the sound of 12 firecrackers above the imperial palace. In an instant, boom boom boom. Amidst the violent rumbling, the voices of the Great Chu Imperial Palace's guards rang out. "Welcome, Your Excellency, Evil Dr. Ghost Eye." Evil Dr. Ghost Eye? That magnificent youth who rose from the Blackfield's easternly country's branch city and shook the world in just a few months, shocking the 4 great sacred dynasties and the entire eastern region? Everyone's eyes were focused on the entrance of the Great Chu Imperial Palace, wanting to see the elegant demeanor of this world-shaking youth. Old Master Luo was stunned, not knowing what his granddaughter was going to do. While he was in a daze, Empress Dowager Xianxia had already hurried over. "Let's go, Luo Tong, let's go welcome the guests." Evil Dr. Ghost Eye's name was like thunder in the 4 great sacred dynasties. With his medical skills and alchemy skills as well as his status in the Blackfield, he was already worthy of Empress Dowager Xianxia and grandfather Luo personally going out to welcome him. Not to mention the fact that Elder Luo was able to successfully marry her was all thanks to this evil Dr. Gui Tong. Empress Dowager Xianxia didn't believe that Ming Zun of the Blackfield would help Master Luo and Luo Qingtong for no reason. It must be the work of this evil Dr. Gui Tong. She pulled Old Master Luo and quickly walked out of the hall. The latter did not know whether to laugh or cry. Only then did he remember that he had forgotten to tell Empress Dowager Xianxia about Luo Qingtong's identity. The Queen Regent of Great Chu still didn't know that it was her granddaughter who had come. Old Master Luo pulled Empress Dowager Xianxia back. Just as he was about to say something to her, the sound of a flying spirit boat came from the sky. Many air waves rolled. As everyone retreated, Luo Qingtong's voice was unusually clear and loud. "Entrusted by an old friend, evil Dr. Gui Tong has come to deliver a gift. Congratulations to the Empress Dowager of Great Chu and Empress Dowager Xianxia for your marriage. I wish the 2 of you a happy and blissful marriage for 100 years and endless blessings," Luo Qingtong said as she waved her hand. Immediately, people from the Blackfield came forward and handed the gift list to the ceremonial official in front of the Great Chu Imperial Palace. Chapter 846. Oh my God. Seeing the contents of the gift list, especially the last one, which was the most important, the chanting officer's hand trembled and he almost dropped the gift list in his hand. He tried to calm his mind and began to sing the gift list sent by Luo Qingtong. 100 bottles of mind-clearing elixir. 100 bottles of spirit-condensing elixir. 100 bottles of spirit-understanding elixir. The contents of the gift list were sung one after another, and the chanting officer's face became more and more excited. His voice became louder and louder. Even with the Chu Sacred Dynasty's deep foundation, they were shocked and excited by the pills and resources that Luo Qingtong had sent over. It was not because of anything else. It was because these elixirs were extremely precious. Even if the Great Chu royal family had some resources, it was almost the same as what Luo Qingtong had sent. In other words, Luo Qingtong's gift list was almost the same as the collection of the Great Chu sacred dynasty's royal family for so many years. Of course, this was talking about elixirs. The people around were also stunned. So many elixirs and resources. The evil Dr. Ghost Eye was too generous. It was said that the Luo family was very likely to be related to him, so Blackfield and Mingzun would make a move. They did not expect it to be true. And the resources revealed by the evil Dr. Ghost Eye were also very frightening. The elixirs and resources revealed by her alone were almost the same as the resources of a sacred dynasty. She was comparable to a country alone. Not to mention that she had the support of a huge monster like the Blackfield behind her. Just as the people were shocked, they heard the chanting officer's voice suddenly tremble. Then the voice suddenly became incomparably sharp, as if to pierce the sky and go straight to the clouds. Bloodline elixir. 1. Bloodline elixir? What bloodline elixir? When the people heard this, they were all stunned. They had never heard of the bloodline elixir. What kind of elixir was that? Hearing the name, could it be that after taking this elixir one could still have the power of the bloodline? How was this possible? The people thought so in their hearts and suddenly could not help but laugh. Only those who had surpassed the saint realm could inherit the power of the bloodline. Moreover, only the 4 royal families of the 4 great sacred dynasties had the ability to pass down the power of the bloodline from generation to generation. Wait a minute. 4 great sacred dynasties? Bloodline power? As everyone thought this, they immediately thought of Great Yong's 7th prince, who coveted the throne of Great Chu and was killed by grandfather Luo in Great Chu's imperial palace. It was said that after his death, even his corpse was unable to return to Great Yong. It was detained by Luo Qingtong. Could it be? Their gazes were all gathered on Luo Qingtong. The youth's jade-like hands were holding a jade box. That golden jade glass box entered everyone's eyes, causing them to tremble all over. The jade box was filled with multicolored light. Within it, a golden dragon silhouette was faintly discernible. The fate of Great Yong, the power of bloodline. Many people were shocked when they saw the strange phenomenon that appeared in the jade box. The golden dragon silhouette was the symbol and manifestation of the sacred dynasty's fate. The multicolored light was the manifestation of the bloodline power of the sacred dynasty's royal family. The bloodline elixir given by evil Dr. Gui Tong was the power of the bloodline extracted from Great Yong's 7th prince's body. Heavens! Evil Dr. Gui Tong actually had such a method. Chapter 847. Immediately, everyone looked at the young man standing on top of the spirit ship with an indescribable look of respect and fear. Especially those big families who also had bloodline inheritance. Their eyes were filled with indescribable shock as they looked at Luo Qingtong. And even more people looked at the bloodline pill with an indescribable desire in their eyes. This was a bloodline pill condensed from the bloodline power of a saint realm expert of the imperial family. After taking it, one would immediately possess the bloodline power of the other party. Whether it was the eruption of strength or cultivation comprehension, they would far surpass ordinary people. And those experts who had limited talent and potential and were already stuck in a certain realm could immediately break through the shackles of their talent and continue to push their strength forward after taking this bloodline pill. With this bloodline pill, as long as one was not as stupid as a pig, they would be able to cultivate to the saint realm in their lifetime. Not to mention that there was a trace of Great Yong's fate in it. With this trace of Great Yong's fate, the fate of one's forces in the future would be much more vigorous than before. And there would be a lot of talents and geniuses. Among the people present, even those big families and forces whose backgrounds were comparable to the imperial family of Great Chu, looked at the bloodline pill with a burning gaze. Old Master Luo and Empress Dowager Xianxia were pleasantly surprised, especially Old Master Luo. Especially Elder Luo. He had never expected that his granddaughter would prepare such a huge gift for him without a word. The bloodline power and a trace of Great Yong's 7th prince's bloodline power. My God! With this bloodline pill, Old Master Luo's position in Great Chu would be as stable as Mount Tai in the future. No one could say that he had climbed the social ladder of Empress Dowager Xianxia. After all, the merit of saving the throne of Great Chu might be forgotten by people one day. But that trace of Great Yong's fate and the bloodline power of Great Yong's seventh prince could not be forgotten. With this trace of Great Yong's fate and bloodline power, Old Master Luo was worthy of Empress Dowager Yan Shi. Thank you for the gift, evil Dr. Gui Tong. Even though he was very excited, Old Master Luo still paid attention to not expose his granddaughter's identity in public. After all, as Luo Qingtong created more and more miracles, her identity became more and more eye-catching. Naturally, Elder Luo could see the danger and glory that this represented. Unless Luo Qingtong announced her identity to the public, Grandfather Luo would never reveal her identity to the public. He wanted to protect his granddaughter well so that she wouldn't fall into someone else's trap. Seeing Grandfather Luo's thoughts, Luo Qingtong's lips curled up slightly under her Rakshasa mask. Her eyes were full of smiles. So this was her grandfather. It was the greatest warmth she had ever felt since she entered this strange world. You're too polite. Luo Qingtong jumped down from the spirit boat and handed the golden jade and glazed box to Grandfather Luo. Then, just as she was about to approach Grandfather Luo, a sudden change occurred. Attack! Along with this cold shout, a cold voice rang out. Among the surrounding guests, many of them rushed towards Luo Qingtong. Among them, there were many powerhouses from the royal families of powerful commanderies. There were also several Saint Realm experts. Evil Dr. Gui Tong die. And that bloodline pill. Snatch it. Chapter 848. Seeing this scene, the eyes of many experts who had come to participate in the wedding banquet flickered. These people were obviously aiming for the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. It was unknown which power had set them up as pawns in the Great Chu. But the biggest possibility was that they were from Great Yong. After all, it was impossible for the Great Yong royal family to not know that the seventh prince's body had been refined and his bloodline had been extracted. Since they knew, they naturally had to think of a way to snatch it back. These people were probably pawns they had set up in the Great Chu. Using so many pawns and connections at once, Great Yong was probably determined to snatch the bloodline pill back. Not only that, they also wanted to kill Luo Qingtong, a person who dared to refine their royal bloodline as a warning to others. If the bloodline pill was really snatched away, then these people, would they be able to reap the benefits? Just as they were thinking this, a figure suddenly appeared beside Luo Qingtong with a boom. He held Luo Qingtong's slender waist with one hand and pulled her into his embrace. In the next second, the silver-gray robe embroidered with gold suddenly flicked his sleeve. In an instant, it was as if a dragon was swimming in golden light, illuminating the earth. The power that came out from the man's robe was extremely powerful and domineering. Almost with a flick, those experts who had already rushed to Luo Qingtong with sinister sneers, raised their hands to grab the jade box in her hand, or raised their hands to attack her, were all sent flying backwards by the force of this flick. Among them, there were even those Sage Realm experts who had brazenly attacked. They felt that victory was already in their hands this time and were prepared to kill and snatch the bloodline pill jade box in Luo Qingtong's hand in one blow before retreating immediately. At that time, they would be free to roam the world. No matter how powerful the black field was, they could just find a secluded and desolate mountain range to hide in. As long as they didn't come out, what could they do to them? However, the beauty of their imaginations was completely shattered by the power of the flick. Ah! The group of people screamed miserably as they flew backwards at a speed faster than when they were rushing towards Luo Qingtong. Those powerhouses below the Saint Realm were directly sent flying in the air by that blow. They screamed as they turned into ashes. Under the strength of that strike, it was not something they could resist. As for the Sage Realm experts, they spat out mouthfuls of blood. Despite using all their strength, they were still unable to stop themselves from flying backwards. Pooh! Rip! In the sky, the sound of the air being torn apart suddenly resounded. Rumble! The Saint Realm experts were sent flying. They collided with countless people and smashed heavily into the pillars and the ground, causing a series of loud noises and screams. Who gave you the guts to lay your hands on her? Following these tragic cries, an incomparably cold voice came from Luo Qingtong. The man held the young man's waist with one hand and pulled him close to him. The young man's slender figure contrasted sharply with the man's sturdiness. Both of them were dressed in enchanting red clothes, which contrasted well with the cold black clothes. When the enchanting young man and the cold and dignified man stood together, it was as if they were one-on-one. Even though everyone knew that they were of the same gender, they couldn't help but feel that the two of them were very compatible. Chapter 849. Seeing this scene, many people exclaimed in low voices. Rumors about Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian had been circulating among the four great sacred dynasties. It was said that Mingzun had fallen in love with evil Dr. Gui Tong and did not hesitate to put down his status to pursue her. These were originally just rumors. Some people believed it while others did not. However, at this moment when everyone saw the two of them standing side by side, they all believed this rumor without prior consultation. Who could be so close to Mingzun? And looking at how Yi Qianxian was clearly half-hugging Luo Qingtong, everyone felt that the rumors were not exaggerated at all. With Yi Qianren's attitude towards Luo Qingtong, it could be said that he loved her talent. But now that he was hugging her in such an open and ambiguous position, it was obvious that this was not something that could be explained by love. Mingzun really did have the heart to split the peach with evil Dr. Gui Tong. No wonder this supreme of the Blackfield had never been close to any woman for so many years. There were only two people by his side to serve him. Everyone looked at Bei Qing and Feng Yu, who had appeared behind Yi Qianxian. The two of them felt their hair stand on end as everyone looked at them meaningfully. They wanted to cry but had no tears. Don't look at us like that. There is nothing between us and Master. The only ones who are not innocent are evil Doctor and Master. The two of them screamed crazily in their hearts, but they did not dare to say it out loud. Mingzun. Seeing the silver-robed black-haired man appear, the dark golden mask on his face shone with a cold golden light under the sunlight. The group of sage state experts who had brazenly attacked Luo Qingtong but were sent flying were extremely shocked. Everyone said that Mingzun was very strong, but no one knew how strong he was. Only now did they know how strong Yi Qianxian was. They had attacked together to kill Luo Qingtong, but Yi Qianxian had easily resolved it. Not only that, with a casual wave of the other party's hand, they were sent flying without any strength to fight back. Strong. Too strong. The hearts of the group of people trembled. Almost instantly they climbed up from the place where they had been smashed and ran out with all their might. Run. Run. The group of people moved like the wind, each of them desperately using their own life-saving secret techniques. They wanted to escape Yi Qianxian's pursuit under such circumstances. However, the man only glanced at them and said coldly, Bei Qing, Feng Yu. Yes. The two of them stood up and respectfully nodded at Yi Qianxian. Master. Kill them all. Yes. Bei Qing and Feng Yu accepted the order and immediately rushed out. It was only when they made their move that the crowd realized how powerful the two men who had been serving Yi Qianxian were. Bang bang bang. Bei Qing's strength was strong and ferocious. Wherever he went, the sage state experts who wanted to escape with their severely injured bodies screamed as they were cut in half by the heavy sword in his hand. On the other hand, Feng Yu's body was as light as a feather. In an instant he appeared in front of a sage state expert who wanted to escape. He flipped the folding fan in his hand and instantly took the life of the sage state expert. Boom boom boom. The two of them, one strong and one soft, killed the group of sage state experts who were about to escape in an instant. Seeing this scene, many people who had wanted to take advantage of Luo Qingtong's bloodline elixir turned pale. They secretly rejoiced that they had not taken advantage of the situation to take advantage of it. Chapter 850. The power of the Blackfield's Hell Venerable was like this. As they thought in their hearts, they all lowered their heads in cold sweat. Yi Qianxian didn't even look at them. He only looked at Empress Dowager Yan Shi and Old Master Luo and said, I'll leave these people to you. I'll get people to give you all their information. His words meant that the forces behind these people would absolutely not be able to escape. The Black Domain's intelligence network was powerful enough to find out all 8 generations of their ancestors. Thank you, Hell Venerable. Even if they already knew that Great Yong was behind this, Empress Dowager Yan Shi and the others might not be able to find evidence. Now that they heard that Yi Qianxian was going to make a move, they were suddenly pleasantly surprised. Especially Empress Dowager Yan Shi, the ugly expression on her face eased. The scene just now was really too thrilling. Those who made a move were all experts from the Great Chu sacred dynasty. If they really succeeded, not only would they lose the bloodline pill, their Great Chu would also suffer heavy losses, and they would also have to face the anger of the Blackfield. After all, looking at Yi Qianxian's attitude of protecting Luo Qingtong just now, who would believe that there was no ambiguous relationship between the two? Thinking so, even though Empress Dowager Yanxi's temperament was calm, she was also scared out of cold sweat just now. Not to mention old Master Luo, he almost couldn't restrain himself and rushed up to ask his granddaughter how she was. Fortunately, he still remembered that he couldn't casually expose his granddaughter's identity and had been restraining himself. But his eyes couldn't help but look at Luo Qingtong. People who didn't know would think that he had just married Empress Dowager Yanxi and had taken a fancy to the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. "Why are you here so soon?" Luo Qingtong was held in Yi Qianxian's arms and asked with a smile. She sensed the man's presence the moment he appeared. She stood there motionlessly waiting for him to appear. As for those experts of the sage realm, if they could still hurt her in front of this man, then the Blackfield Hell Venerable would have long been replaced. Luo Qingtong had absolute confidence in this man's strength. Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows and said, "Those people must have thought that you would appear at the end or at the end." Therefore, when he saw her appear alone with the bloodline pill in her hand, he immediately had evil intentions. He wanted to hit the target with one strike and then immediately escape. It wasn't wrong for them to think that way. If Yi Qianxian wasn't here, Luo Qingtong wouldn't have been able to resist the combined strength of several Sage Realm experts. Unless Little Pig unsealed his strength, but that would instantly suck all of her strength dry and damage her foundation. "My lord, thank you." Luo Qingtong looked up at Yi Qianxian with a smile. The Rakshasa ghost mask on her face was sinister and evil. Coupled with the curve of her lips, she had an indescribable evil charm. "If you really want to thank me, I'll repay you with my body." Yi Qianxian snorted coldly. Just a word of thanks was enough? Did this woman think that his life-saving grace was so cheap? Luo Qingtong coughed lightly and was about to say something when old Master Luo, who was standing at the side, could not help but step forward and ask, "Evil Dr. Ghost Eye, are you all right?" Meeting Grandfather Luo's concerned eyes, Luo Qingtong's heart felt warm. She immediately nodded and said, "I'm fine. Thank you for your concern, Grand Yao." She looked at Yi Qianxian and said with a smile, "May I know what gift the Lord has brought for Grand Yao and Empress Dowager Yanxi?" It was inauspicious for something like this to happen at a wedding. Luo Qingtong didn't want her grandparents' wedding to be ruined. Chapter 851. With Luo Qingtong's question, everyone's eyes immediately focused on Yi Qianxian. They didn't know what kind of gift this Supreme Blackfield had prepared. The members of the Chu imperial family had already come out to clean up the mess. Yi Qianxian snorted softly and glanced at Luo Qingtong, knowing that she was using him to divert everyone's attention. However, he did come this time to give gifts to Empress Dowager Yanxi and Old Master Luo, so he didn't say anything. Moreover, the young girl was in his arms. Luo Qingtong's slender waist was held in his hands and embraced in his arms. Yi Qianxian's expression didn't show it on his face, but he was very happy in his heart. He turned a blind eye to Luo Qingtong's little thoughts. "Feng Yu," he called in a low voice. His voice was faint and cold. Immediately, the chief protector who was always by his side stepped forward. He respectfully bowed to Old Master Luo and Empress Dowager Yanxi, saying, "Congratulations to choose Empress Dowager Yanxi and Empress Dowager Yanxi for 100 years of blissful marriage. Year after year, forever after, never let each other down." When he said this, he suddenly took a step forward and took out the gift list he had prepared long ago. He raised it high above his head and presented it to Old Master Luo, saying, "This is my master's congratulatory gift to Empress Dowager Yanxi and Empress Dowager Yanxi." The announcer standing beside Old Master Luo hurriedly took the gift list from him. However, he had just opened it and glanced at it when he was instantly dumbfounded. Clack. His hand couldn't hold it steady and the gift list fell to the ground in an instant. Old Master Luo glanced down and was instantly stunned as if he had been struck by lightning. This gift is too great." Old Master Luo's voice trembled and his entire body couldn't help but tremble. Feng Yu smiled but didn't say anything. With old Master Luo's relationship and status with the evil doctor, he should accept this gift. Moreover, this gift was frightening in the eyes of outsiders, but it was nothing to the Blackfield. If it weren't for the fact that the identity of the evil doctor had not been exposed yet, his master would have given him an even bigger gift. While Grandfather Luo's voice was trembling, the announcer on the other side hurriedly picked up the gift list and shouted excitedly, "Blackfield has sent a gift. 1 Blackfield main city." From now on, the Blackfield's main city in the Great Chu Sacred Dynasty has changed hands. Luo Tong, Old Master Luo, is the master of Great Chu Blackfield. All the forces of the Blackfield's main city stationed in the Great Chu Sacred Dynasty will belong to Elder Luo. Furthermore, as long as Luo Tong is still alive, the forces of the Blackfield will not set foot in Great Chu. As the reciter's voice rang out, the entire Great Chu Imperial Palace instantly fell silent. All the forces that had come to attend the wedding banquet looked at the gift list in the hands of the announcer in shock. A gift of a city. That was the main city of the Blackfield. Overseeing the Great Chu Sacred Dynasty, it was the center of the Blackfield's forces in the Great Chu Sacred Dynasty. Not only that, but all the forces in it were also taken over by Grandfather Luo. How powerful was a main city that encompassed the entire Great Chu Sacred Dynasty? Perhaps this main city was enough to make Grandfather Luo and the entire Luo family become a first-rate force in Great Chu, enough to be on equal footing with the royal family. Oh my god. The Blackfield's Mingzun was really amazing when he did not make a move. This was truly a heaven-shaking extravagance. And the people of Great Chu's royal family were even more delighted. All the forces of the Blackfield in Great Chu were taken over by Grandfather Luo, and the latter had married Empress Dowager Xianxia. Didn't this mean that this huge force would be a part of the royal family's forces in the future? Chapter 852. Everyone looked at the gift list in shock. Empress Dowager Xianxia was also stunned by Yi Qianxian's generous gift. If the Blackfield's Mingzun stood up for Master Luo before because he was giving face to the evil Dr. Gui Tong, then what was this gift all about? If it was because of the evil Dr. Gui Tong, then the other party's face was too big, right? And what was the relationship between the other party and the Luo family? Grandpa Luo was also shocked. He didn't take the rumors seriously at all. The Blackfield's Mingzun took a fancy to his granddaughter, huh? That was simply impossible. Like others, Master Luo also thought that it must be because his granddaughter had a partnership with the Blackfield, so the Blackfield's Mingzun helped them again and again. But now, it seemed that it didn't make sense. Master Luo's face was full of shock. He looked at Luo Qingtong and then at Yi Qianming, his face full of shock. Luo Qingtong was helpless. She glared at the man in front of her. "Look at how you scared my grandpa." Luo Qingtong originally wanted to find a good opportunity to tell Master Luo. But now with Yi Qianming's actions she didn't have to explain so much. If it wasn't for her, how could this man do so much? This gift seemed to be for Master Luo, but in fact, it was to make her feel at ease. With the Blackfield's influence in the Chu dynasty, plus the bloodline pill she prepared for Master Luo. Whether it was strength or influence, Master Luo would no longer be looked down upon. No one could say that Master Luo married Empress Dowager Xianxia because he was climbing up the social ladder of the Chu dynasty. No one would say that he married Empress Dowager Xianxia because of the Chu dynasty's royal family. Luo Qingtong wanted Master Luo to live openly in the Chu dynasty. No one dared to talk about his identity. Now Yi Qianming helped her do it. If the bloodline pill Luo Qingtong gave Master Luo increased his strength, then no one could talk nonsense about it. At the same time, the trace of Great Yong's national destiny made the Chu dynasty's royal family not dare to treat Master Luo too badly. Then Yi Qianming would give old Master Luo the greatest confidence and support. The leader of all the Blackfield's forces in the Chu dynasty was enough to be comparable to any big family in the Chu dynasty. At the same time, with this gift from Yi Qianming, everyone knew that the relationship between the Luo family and the Dark Region wasn't shallow. At least it wasn't something that could be easily touched or ridiculed. After today, everyone from the big forces would know that Grandfather Luo was not to be trifled with. This man was really... Luo Qingtong looked at Yi Qianming with bright eyes. Ever since her previous life she had always been working hard on her own. Whatever she wanted she got it through her own efforts. This was the first time someone took the initiative to give her all of his things and let her take whatever she wanted. Whether she said it or not, the other party would do the best for her. Luo Qingtong gently covered her heart, feeling the rapid and intense beating inside. She looked at Yi Qianming with eyes that were shining brightly. "Why are you looking at me like this?" Yi Qianming looked straight into Luo Qingtong's eyes. The way the girl looked at him was like a queen looking at her favorite treasure, wanting to completely embed it into her soul. Chapter 853. He liked it when this woman looked at him like this, as if she wanted to plunder his entire being and soul. Yi Qianming knew that Luo Qingtong was the same as him deep down. The more the girl looked at him like this, the more she wanted to control him, which meant that she cared about him. "Luo Qingtong, you can't escape." Yi Qianming's lips curled up slightly, and he tightened his grip on Luo Qingtong's slender waist. If it weren't for the wrong occasion, he would have kissed Luo Qingtong long ago. But even so, he looked at Luo Qingtong with a burning gaze. Their gazes collided in the air, and there was an indescribable affection mixed with an inexplicable contest of strength. "You win this time." Yi Qianming's gift was much bigger than hers. "But I will have a chance to win against you in the future. At that time she would press this man under her body. I'll wait for you." The smile on Yi Qianming's lips became even more intense. The people around him who had never seen him smile before let out a suppressed cry of surprise. Once again they understood the position of the evil Dr. Ghost Eye in his heart. One must know that this supreme of the Blackfield had always been famous for being cold and ruthless. Not to mention laughing, he wouldn't even have the slightest emotional fluctuation. Yi Qianming didn't stay long at the wedding banquet before leaving. His identity was too important and the atmosphere was too oppressive if he stayed. More importantly, with his identity he had to sit at the top and enjoy the newlyweds kneeling down to him. How could Yi Qianming let Luo Qingtong's grandfather kneel down to him? He immediately left after giving the gift. But he left Bei Qing and Feng Yu behind to attend the wedding banquet on his behalf. This was enough to give old Master Luo face, so the people didn't dare to look down on the latter. Luo Qingtong left with him. Then she changed back to Luo Qingtong's identity and returned to the banquet. After all, with her identity, it wouldn't be right if she didn't attend this wedding banquet. The wedding banquet lasted for several hours. Only when dusk had fallen and the sky had set in the west did they leave. As for the bridal chamber, who would dare to disturb the Empress Dowager's bridal chamber? Moreover, they were all leaders of major forces, so such things were not popular. Qingtong. Luo Laoi sent Luo Qingtong all the way out of the Great Chu Imperial Palace. Along the way he wanted to say something but stopped. Luo Qingtong could see his worries and apprehensions. She couldn't help but laugh. "Well, Grandpa, I know what you want to say. Was it about Yi Qianming?" "Don't worry, I know what to do." Old Master Luo's heart skipped a beat. His granddaughter actually called Ming Zun by his title so casually. Between the two of them, as expected. Sigh. Grandpa's old. When Grandfather Luo said this, he remembered that he had already regained his youth. He suddenly felt embarrassed and quickly said, "My heart is old. As for the matter between you and Ming Zun, it's fine as long as you know your limits. Grandpa is just worried about you." The reputation of the Blackfield's Ming Zun was too resounding, and his strength was too strong. Grandfather Luo was worried that his granddaughter would be wronged in the end. When Luo Qingtong heard this, before she could speak, a figure instantly appeared beside her. "There's nothing to worry about. This Zun will not let her suffer any grievances." The man's figure slowly appeared in the night. That voice was exceptionally sonorous and clear. When Luo Qingtong heard this, she immediately turned her head and looked at the man who appeared beside her. Chapter 854. Swish. That golden light swept towards Luo Qingtong and was quickly caught in her hand. The girl frowned slightly. This golden light was a message she had specially left for Yen Yang and the others. And it was an enhanced version that she had improved. She had previously told Yen Yang and the others not to use it unless it was an emergency. Could it be that they had encountered something in the main city of the Black Field of the Empire of Qin? Luo Qingtong was thinking when suddenly Bei Qing and Feng Yu appeared beside Yi Qianming. "Master, there is a message from the main city of the Black Field." The evil doctor's leave from the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin has encountered some problems. As the two spoke, they looked at Luo Qingtong. Yi Qianming had previously told everyone in the Black Field that anything related to Luo Qingtong was his business. Therefore, as soon as the main city of the Black Field received the message from the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin, they immediately passed it on. The Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin? Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows. She opened the message in her hand and read it. It also said that Luo Qingtong should hurry back to the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin as soon as possible. After reading the content, Luo Qingtong frowned. The Great Elder of the Holy Academy? He wants me to rush back within 3 days and increase my strength by 1 level. Otherwise he will expel me and Ling Tianhan from the Holy Academy? What is the background of this Great Elder of the Holy Academy? Luo Qingtong's expression turned serious. Her leave was approved by the Grand Dean. And looking at the situation, even the Grand Dean couldn't stop him? Yi Qianming also learned the ins and outs of the matter from Beiqing and Fengyu. He immediately said, "He is the Great Elder of the Holy Academy's Elders Guild. If he speaks, all the Elders Guild will agree. The Grand Principal is indeed unable to turn the tide by himself. However, it's said that some time ago he went out to travel because he had comprehended something in his cultivation. He won't be back for a year." When Yi Qianming said this, Luo Qingtong suddenly remembered the agreement she made with the Grand Principal. The other party also asked her to come back after a year. Could it be that it wasn't just because of that grand event? Was it because of the Great Elder of the Saint Academy? As Luo Qingtong was thinking, Feng Yu's voice rang out. This Grand Elder of the Sacred Academy is very stubborn and inflexible. They were the most protective of traditions and rules. We've investigated it. It seems that someone deliberately contacted the first Elder of the Sacred Academy and called him back from his travels. Hearing this, Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes. You mean someone deliberately made things difficult and called back the first elder who was not supposed to be in the Saint Academy? They want me and Ling Tianhan to be expelled from the Saint Academy? We can't rule out this possibility, Feng Yu said. He looked at Luo Qingtong and said, "We've found out that the person who contacted the first elder of the Saint Academy is most likely Yu Wenma's teacher, the great teacher of the Soul Academy. And the reason should be to avenge Yu Wenma for the destruction of the Yu family." Feng Yu lowered his head and reported. The more he spoke, the more he felt Yi Qianming's gaze on him. But he had to bite the bullet and continue. He doesn't dare to target you, so he must want to vent his anger on the Ling siblings. Through your absence for so many days, he kicked the Ling siblings and the people of the Tianyu Branch Academy out. After all, Ling Tianhan's talent is not weak. At this point, Feng Yu lowered her head completely. Chapter 855. UNMO. This name instantly made Luo Qingtong's eyes turn cold. She was prepared to go back to the Empire of Qin Sacred Academy and ask him to break off the engagement. But she didn't expect the other party to be so restless. She hadn't done anything yet and he made a move first. Especially when he didn't know that she was the evil Dr. Gui Tong. He only knew that she was Luo Qingtong, but he didn't hesitate to sacrifice her in order to take revenge on the Ling siblings. He didn't care that she was his fiancée at all. Luo Qingtong really felt sorry for the original owner. Let's go back. Yuan Mo wanted to take revenge on the Yuan family, right? She wanted to see who would take revenge on whom. The Luo family and the original owner's debt. She would settle it with him one by one. Luo Qingtong originally wanted to break off the engagement, but since Yuan Mo wasn't willing, they could play slowly. Time is too tight, your spirit boat won't be able to make it in time. Yi Qianming's expression was indifferent. He wasn't wrong. The news came from the Empire of Qin Sacred Academy and was taken over by the Black Field. It had already been a day or two since they received the news. Even if Luo Qingtong was on the best spirit boat, it was absolutely impossible for her to rush from the Great Chu Sacred Academy to the Empire of Qin Sacred Academy. The distance between the two sacred academies was more than thousands of mountains and rivers. When he said this, Luo Qingtong instantly realized the problem. This was troublesome. She frowned. Since the great elder of the Sacred Academy was so stubborn, Then if she didn't arrive on time, Ling Tianhan and the others would definitely be stripped of their heaven-grade status and driven out of the Empire of Qin's Sacred Academy. At that time, even if he rushed back later, he was afraid that it would be of no use. Luo Qingtong thought of this and frowned. At this time Yi Qianming's voice sounded. "Hold me tight." Luo Qingtong heard this and unconsciously hugged him tightly. In the next second Yi Qianming waved his sleeve and with a bang the space in front of him collapsed. In an instant Luo Qingtong's vision turned black. Then the two of them disappeared from the spot. At the same time in the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin. Bang! Little Overlord Yuan slammed his fist on the table in front of him. Damn it! UNMO and the others have gone too far. They had heard that the first elder of the Sacred Academy had ordered Luo Qingtong to come back within 3 days. Otherwise, her leave would be cancelled and all of them would be driven out of the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin. Little Tyrant Yuan and the others weren't afraid of being kicked out. After all, they were able to enter the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin because of Luo Qingtong. But Luo Qingtong, boss, she mustn't be chased out. The Empire of Qin's Holy Academy was the best academy in the Empire of Qin's Holy Dynasty. There were so many resources here and they were so good that they were much better than those clans outside. Not only that, there were many strong people here who taught all kinds of knowledge. It was much better than learning on their own outside. They had only been here for a while, but they could clearly feel that their strength had improved. If Boss was here, wouldn't her strength increase be even more terrifying? But all of this was about to be destroyed by UNMO and the others. Thinking of the arrogant and humiliating faces of UNMO and the others in front of them, Little Tyrant Yuan and the others all gritted their teeth. Big Brother and I will kneel and beg for mercy in front of UNMO. No matter how they humiliate us, we won't fight back. As long as they ask the first elder of the Sacred Academy to cancel this decision. Ling Yu gritted her teeth. Chapter 856. As the eldest daughter of Duke Ling, Ling Yu was arrogant. But now she was willing to let this arrogance be trampled on. If they had known that Yu Wenmo and the others would use such unscrupulous means to deal with them, they would have bowed their heads no matter how unwilling they were. Luo Qingtong gave them a new life, saved their family and gave the Ling family a path to heaven. If they caused Luo Qingtong to be unable to study at the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin and lose the best opportunity to cultivate, how could they face the Ling family? Yes. Ling Tianhan also clenched his fists and said in a low voice. All of this started because of us siblings. Let's go and beg Yu Wenmo and the others to let Qingtong go. As he spoke, he walked out with his sword. Just as he stood up, Yuan Little Tyrant pressed him down. Are you stupid? Yuan Little Tyrant glared at them. What's the use of begging them now? They won't let you go. Not to mention now they wouldn't even let you go before. Didn't you hear what that bastard Yu Wenmo said? He wants to kick us out of the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. Then he can crush us to death at any time. Not only will they cut off our path to cultivation, they can also torture us to death. Even if you go and beg them, they won't stop after torturing you. Why do you want to be humiliated by them? If boss knows, she definitely won't agree. Sima Qi nodded slightly and said in a deep voice, Yunhu is right. It's useless for you to beg them like this. You're just asking to be humiliated. As he was talking, Su Xiaoxiao's timid voice sounded next to him. I'll go and beg the pharmacist. Her eyes were red as if she had just cried, but her voice was unusually firm. Boss's strength isn't something they can imagine. She will definitely become stronger in the outside world. First Elder's 3-day agreement isn't fair. Boss isn't even within the borders of the Empire of Qin. How could she make it back in time? I'll go ask the pharmacist and ask him to plead with the Great Elder. It doesn't matter if we're kicked out, but boss must not be expelled. Su Xiaoxiao had already gained a firm foothold in the pharmaceutical courtyard. She listened to Luo Qingtong's advice and took a different path. Her alchemy talent was completely developed. As of now, the number of medicinal liquids that could be mixed and stacked together had already reached more than 10. The instructors of the Pharmaceutical Institute all regarded her as a genius and cherished her greatly. Even the great teacher of the Medicine Institute had proposed to take her in as his last disciple. That was in existence at the level of a saint alchemist, and he was currently breaking through to become an alchemist. Su Xiaoxiao refused. In her eyes, only Luo Qingtong, the girl who awakened her talent and rescued her from the path of trash, was her companion and mentor. She would not accept the teachings of others. Because in her eyes, no one else could compare to Luo Qingtong. Those instructors who regarded her as a peerless genius hadn't seen how powerful Boss was. Otherwise, they definitely wouldn't think so. However, at this time for Luo Qingtong, Su Xiaoxiao was willing to go to the pharmacist and ask him to help speak to the great elder of the Sacred Institute so that Luo Qingtong wouldn't be expelled. It's useless. Sima Qi shook his head silently. The great elder has the Sacred Institute's council of elders behind him. The pharmacist is already doing his best to protect you. There's no way he can protect Boss. This time the great elder clearly wanted to make an example out of them. This time it wasn't just Yu Wenma who wanted to use this opportunity to deal with them. The Sacred Ancestors' Council of Elders also wanted to use this opportunity to weaken the strength of the Grand Dean's faction. Unless Boss hurried back, this was a dead end. Chapter 857. A group of people barged in from the outside. What are you doing? Little Tyrant Yuan and the others turned around and saw the group of people barging in. Their faces immediately turned cold. What are we doing? The leader of the group of people who barged in looked indifferent. He suddenly raised his eyebrows and said, "Of course we're chasing you out." "That's right." Another person in green standing next to that person snorted and said, "Yunhu, other than Su Xiaoxiao and Sima Qi, the rest of you don't have the right to stay in the Heavenly Hall. Especially you Ling Tianhan. Cripples should have been kicked out of the Heavenly Hall long ago. If you guys somehow managed to get close to the Grand Dean, you wouldn't have the right to set foot in the Heavenly Hall." "That's right." As soon as that person spoke, another person also said coldly, "We've long wanted to chase you guys out for tarnishing the Heavenly Hall's reputation. If fathers saw you guys, they would think that the people of the Heavenly Hall of the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin are trash and useless. You're really letting any Tom, Dick and Harry into the Heavenly Hall. The Grand Dean is indeed old and useless." As soon as the other party said this, Little Tyrant Yuan and the others' faces changed instantly. "How dare you speak ill of the Grand Dean?" The Grand Dean had always protected them and Luo Qingtong. He also tried his best to deal with them during the 3-day agreement. However, when the Grand Elder returned, the Elders Guild immediately made things difficult. With the Academy's rules, the Grand Dean could do nothing. He was also seriously questioned because of this matter, saying that the Grand Dean's faction was a joke of the Sacred Academy. They didn't deserve to be the Dean. They wanted to impeach them. They wanted to abolish the Dean and Grand Dean's duties. Little Tyrant Yuan and the others knew about this. Therefore, it wasn't that the Grand Dean was unwilling to help them, but that someone wanted to use this matter to bring down the Dean and the others. Little Tyrant Yuan and the others were furious when they heard the other party speak ill of the Grand Dean in public. The other party definitely saw that the Grand Dean and the others were about to lose power. That was why they were so unscrupulous. Don't talk so much nonsense with them. They probably think that the Grand Dean can save them. Unfortunately, the leader sneered. Throw all their belongings out. Chase him out of the Heavenly Hall. Afternoon tomorrow, if Luo Qingtong can't make it back in time, we'll kick them all out. Xiaofeng, don't go too far. Little Tyrant Yuan and the others were enraged. Too much. In any case, all of you are going to be kicked out of the Holy Court. What's wrong with that? The leader Xiaofeng sneered. They were a group of people from the Heavenly Palace of the Sacred Academy who followed Yu Wenma's lead. These people were all disciples of the major clans of the Empire of Qin dynasty. He wasn't the most favored in the family, but he wasn't weak either. When they heard little Overlord Yuan and the others' words, they all laughed loudly. Ling Tianhan, do you really think you can turn the tide? Unless that Luo Qingtong can travel through time and space, it's impossible for her to make it back in time. Just wait to be driven out of the Empire of Qin. Zush. While Xiaofeng and the others were ridiculing Little Tyrant Yuan and the others, in the City Lord Mansion of the Black Field of the Empire of Qin, a thunderous roar tore through the sky. Chapter 858. Tearing the void and crossing with your body? Luo Qingtong's eyes sparkled as she looked at the man who was hugging her. Yi Qianming's strength was beyond her imagination. Just how strong was this man? No wonder he said that he didn't need to pass through the hidden world when he came from the outer realm. Yi Qianming's expression was indifferent. With his current strength he needed to save up for a long time before he could use this move. And after using it this time he would need to wait for a long time before he could use it again. The main reason was that his strength had not recovered yet. If he had his previous strength he could tear the void at will and ignore the continent's barriers and rules. The world's laws in the true Spill continent could not restrain him at all. He didn't need to use the power of the Blackfield City Lord Mansion as a medium to cross the void like now. Go, we are already in the Empire of Qin. One day is enough for you to reach the holy court of the Empire of Qin from here. He let go of the girl in his arms. Luo Qingtong nodded and then looked at him with some worry. Are you okay? The man took her through the void. She didn't know if he used too much power and damaged his meridians. I'm fine. Yi Qianming shook his head lightly. There is an array in the Blackfield City Lord Mansion that I specially drew. Can sense my power and receive it. Luo Qingtong heard him say this and immediately looked around. Sure enough, she sensed many array patterns that had just dissipated. With such a huge power as a guide, Yi Qianming should be fine. Luo Qingtong's heart calmed down. Then I'll go first. Luo Qingtong said and her lips curled up. She raised her head and kissed the man's lips. Then in the next second her figure flashed and instantly swept out like a gust of wind and butterfly wings. Her voice was like a silver bell. This is a thank you gift. Touching the marks on his lips he felt the soft and moist touch of Luo Qingtong's lips on his own. The color in Yi Qianming's eyes deepened. But soon the expression in his eyes turned cold. Chua. He raised his hand and a golden light appeared in his hand. This was a message that had suddenly flown over when he was passing through the void with Luo Qingtong. The Lord of the Southern region has come bearing gifts. My lord, please return quickly. As Yi Qianming raised his hand, the information in the golden light was instantly revealed. Lord of the Southern region? Yi Qianming's eyes narrowed. He raised his hand and crushed the golden light. With a wave of his body, he disappeared from the main city of the Blackfield of the Empire of Qin without alerting anyone. Whoosh! Luo Qingtong rushed out of the Castellan's mansion in the main city of the Empire of Qin. She was still in the disguise of the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. Even if the people of the Blackfield of the Empire of Qin didn't know how Luo Qingtong appeared in their Castellan's mansion, they didn't dare to stop this person who was placed at the top of their lord's heart. Luo Qingtong smoothly left the Castellan's mansion in the main city of the Empire of Qin. After thinking for a while, she rushed to the place where Yen Yang and the others were. She wanted to ask Yen Yang about the situation in the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin, and at the same time, restore her original identity there. Otherwise, it would be too eye-catching to leave the city in the disguise of the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. Luo Qingtong knew that as more and more abilities were revealed in her identity, more and more major forces were looking for her, hoping that she would be alone. With the Blackfield, these people didn't dare to touch her openly, but it didn't mean that they wouldn't do it secretly. Chapter 859. Swish. Luo Qingtong's figure rushes towards the place where Yen Yang and the rest are. Before Yen Yang came to the Blackfield's main city of the Empire of Qin, she told her where the place is. Luo Qingtong's figure quickly appears in front of that huge building. That place is located in the center of the Blackfield's main city of the Empire of Qin. There are people coming and going all around, all of whom are here to buy elixirs and medicinal liquids. Luo Qingtong will provide Yen Yang with a batch of medicinal liquids every once in a while, and it depends on whether she is willing to accept the elixirs or not. If she is willing to accept the elixirs, she will let the people of the Blackfield give it to Yen Yang after refining it. Evil Dr. Ghost Eye. Seeing Luo Qingtong's figure appear, there is a burst of low cries from all around. Master. Seeing Luo Qingtong appear, the battle slave experts who are responsible for guarding the shop are pleasantly surprised. A group of people is walking into the shop. At this moment, a burst of noise suddenly comes from the front of the shop. Get out of the way, get out of the way. Along with these rough voices, A group of fully armed soldiers with incomparably cold auras suddenly passed through the shop opened by Yen Yang and the rest. Humph! What evil Dr. Ghost Eye's medicinal liquids, what unparalleled medical skills. The medicinal liquids sold in our Martial King's shop are not inferior to this at all. What evil doctor name, it's just a bluff. That's right. Get out of the way, a group of people who don't know what is good and what is bad. They are really blind. A large group of soldiers swaggered through the shop. A battle slave expert looks and immediately says angrily, "These bastards, it's starting again." The other people also have a burst of anger on their faces. Luo Qingtong looks and asks, "What's going on?" It was obvious that those soldiers were here to deal with him. Or it could be said that they are targeting Yen Yang and the rest. "Master, you don't know. After we came to the Empire of Qin's Black Field, the Empire of Qin's King Wu also started selling medicinal liquids in the Black Field. It's not far from the left side of our shop." A battle slave expert raised his hand and pointed at a majestic and splendid building not far away. Their shops aren't inferior to ours, and the medicinal liquids they sell are also similar. Ever since they started selling medicinal liquids, soldiers from the army would often come to cause trouble, saying that your medicinal liquids can't compare to the medicinal liquids bought from their shops. When the battle slave expert said this, he was extremely angry. These soldiers were clearly using their master's reputation as a stepping stone to climb up the ranks. They were trying to increase the reputation of their shop's medicinal liquid. It was simply infuriating. However, they didn't come to cause trouble. They only said disgusting things outside, and the Black Field couldn't do anything about it. Coming here a few times a day, it was really disgusting. King Wu of the Empire of Qin? Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows. No matter how she looked at it, the other party seemed to be deliberately competing with Yen Yang and the rest. And it was in a way that trampled on her reputation. Was it a coincidence, or? Luo Qingtong slightly squints her eyes. At this moment, Yen Yang and the rest came out to greet her. "Master." Luo Qingtong looks at the group of stewards behind her and raises her eyebrows. "Are you discussing something? If it's very important, don't worry about me. I'll wait outside for a while." "It's fine." Yen Yang shakes her head and lets the group of stewards leave first. "It's about King Wu of the Empire of Qin. I haven't figured it out yet," Yen Yang says and then asks, "Master, are you here for the matter of the Holy Institute of the Empire of Qin?" Chapter 860. If this was just a legitimate business competition, Luo Qingtong naturally wouldn't care about him. But if he was deliberately targeting her and the forces under her command, just as Luo Qingtong's eyes slightly narrow, Yen Yang spits out a name that she didn't expect. "I can't find out the specifics. I only know that it was refined by a person called Heavenly Doctor Divine Hand. I previously heard from people in the Black Field that this Heavenly Doctor Divine Hand provoked you in the Black Field's main city of the Great Chu dynasty? He lost to you in a competition of medicinal skills?" Yen Yang oversaw the main city of the Black Field's main city of the Empire of Qin. Luo Qingtong's status in the Black Field wasn't ordinary, so naturally she was more well-informed than the average person. She quickly found out about what happened in the main city of the Black Field of the Great Chu dynasty. "Yes." Luo Qingtong lightly nodded her head. "That's right. So she's the person behind King Wu of the Empire of Qin? No wonder the other party would go against us." After figuring out the reason, Luo Qingtong's fingers suddenly stopped tapping on the table. "The next time King Wu of the Empire of Qin's people come to make trouble, don't think of any other way. I didn't give you that platinum token just for show. And I didn't ask you to use it for any convenience in the main city of the Black Field of the Empire of Qin. The next time you encounter such a thing, directly take out the platinum token and chase all those people who said those disgusting words in front of our shop out of the main city of the Black Field of the Empire of Qin. If they don't want to leave, directly break their legs and throw them out. At the same time, forever ban their right to come to the Black Field." Luo Qingtong's voice was cold. She, the evil Dr. Ghost Eye, was never a person who was easy to bully. Others might have scruples about their reputation, and under the circumstances where King Wu of the Empire of Qin's people didn't directly cause trouble, it wasn't good for them to make a move. But what was she afraid of? The Empire of Qin's King Wu's men came in batches. She wanted to see just how many men the Empire of Qin's King Wu had that she could beat. If he has the ability, then he should bring out all the troops of the Empire of Qin. But I'm afraid he doesn't have that ability. Not to mention the Empire of Qin's Blackfield was the place where the major forces of the Empire of Qin traded and obtained resources. Only in this neutral city that was under the jurisdiction of Underworld Zun and had absolute deterrence and fairness, would those big forces and big families dare to do those big transactions that involved huge amounts of money and precious resources. The Empire of Qin's King Wu's army had been banned from entering the main city of the Blackfield. The Empire of Qin's King Wu's army had been overthrown. She wanted to see how long he, the king of martial arts of the Empire of Qin, could cover the sky with one hand and run amok. Yes. Hearing Luo Qingtong's words, Yan Yang hurriedly responded happily. She had just gathered everyone to discuss for a long time, but they still couldn't come up with a good way to deal with the Empire of Qin's King Wu. After all, the other party's influence in the Empire of Qin's holy dynasty wasn't weak. When the crown prince was depressed, he was like the sun in the sky. In the future, the Empire of Qin's crown prince might be this person. In the situation where the other party didn't directly cause trouble, even if Yan Yang had Luo Qingtong's platinum token in her hands, it wouldn't be good for Luo Qingtong to directly make such an enemy. In particular, she was afraid that others would say that they used the platinum token to do whatever they wanted, and she was afraid that it would bring trouble to Luo Qingtong. But now it seemed that Luo Qingtong wasn't afraid at all. Following such a domineering master, Yan Yang only felt an indescribable exaltation in her heart. Chapter 861. Yan Yang was indeed clever. Her methods were superb. She quickly thought of a way to carry out Luo Qingtong's orders better. Tomorrow I will invite the main city of the Empire of Qin's Blackfield to come as guests. At that time, I will invite the people of the Empire of Qin's King of Wu to come and abuse us. The rest will naturally be decided by the people of the Blackfield and the Empire of Qin. After Yan Yang finished speaking, Luo Qingtong immediately glanced at her. What a good plan to kill with a borrowed knife. If the people of the Empire of Qin's King of Wu really fell into this pit, they really wouldn't be able to climb up. At that time they could only obediently come and apologize. Moreover, Luo Qingtong's side could refuse to accept it. She would first tidy up the people of the Empire of Qin's King of Wu. At that time, when the King of the Empire of Qin appeared, she would properly tidy up the other side. Not only was she in the right, but she also vented her anger. Such a clever mind. She could see through it with just a little bit. Who knows what family Yan Yang was from? Luo Qingtong didn't think that ordinary people in the marketplace could have such superb skills and communication skills. She and Chu Lingfeng, that blockhead's identity was definitely not ordinary. However, this had nothing to do with Luo Qingtong. As long as they were loyal to her, she would protect them. In the future, if they wanted to take revenge, they would take revenge. If they didn't want to take revenge, they would live under her wings. As long as they were loyal to her, she would naturally give them stability. As for their private matters, Luo Qingtong wouldn't ask anything. Who didn't have their own secrets? Luo Qingtong nodded. Okay. We will do as you say. If you encounter such a situation in the future, you can make your own arrangements. You don't need to worry about me. If you really feel that it's hard to choose, just send me a message. Also, Luo Qingtong's hands were lightly clasped together. Her 10 fingers were intertwined, and her fingers were lightly tapping the back of her hand. Pay attention to any news about this heavenly doctor at all times. If there's even the slightest bit of news, let me know. This person had repeatedly clashed with Luo Qingtong. What happened in the Great Chu Imperial Palace could still be considered an accident. However, the main city of the Black region in the Great Chu dynasty was obviously here for her. Moreover, she seemed to have improper thoughts about Yi Qianxian. This time he appeared in the Empire of Qin's holy dynasty and stood behind King Wu of the Empire of Qin. Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed slightly. For some reason she thought of King Ning of the Great Chu sacred dynasty. The latter had also used the hands of the heavenly doctor to poison Empress Dowager Xianxia of Great Chu. If it wasn't for Luo Qingtong going to find old man Luo at that time, Empress Dowager Xianxia would have been plotted against. At that time the Great Chu dynasty could only be controlled by King Ning. And now the empire of Qin's King Wu and the crown prince were fighting for the throne. Behind this, there was also the figure of this heavenly doctor. This matter couldn't help but be thought-provoking. Luo Qingtong thought of when she met Crown Prince Mo Qingyi before. The latter's body had the aura of a dying dragon. The technique of seizing luck. It couldn't be this heavenly doctor's doing, right? If this was the case, she would have to become enemies with her again. After all, the crown prince had given her medicine before, and that bloodline power fusion technique was enough to make Luo Qingtong take action for him. If this heavenly doctor was behind this, Luo Qingtong would have to confront her again. Thinking so, the corners of Luo Qingtong's lips suddenly curled up. Yes. Yen Yang nodded. Now tell me about the Empire of Qin's Holy Academy. What's going on? Who sent you the news? The Grand Dean? Chapter 862. Yes. Yen Yang nodded and told Luo Qingtong everything that happened in the Saint Institute of the Empire of Qin. She had received a message from the Grand Dean. Since she was in the Empire of Qin, it was very convenient for her to gather information. In less than 15 minutes, Luo Qingtong knew everything. She also knew about Su Xiaoxiao and Yuan Hu's situation in the Saint Institute of the Empire of Qin. She left in a hurry and didn't ask Bei Qing and Feng Yu about it. So, the Grand Elder of the Saint Institute was really invited back by someone? Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes. Bei Qing and Feng Yu were right. Yes. That's what the Grand Dean said. He also said that this time, someone is not only targeting you but also targeting them, Yen Yang said. Master, if you don't come back on time, there's nothing he can do. I got it. After getting the answer she wanted, Luo Qingtong stood up. I'm going back to the Saint Institute of the Empire of Qin right now. I'll see who dares to touch a hair on my people. I'll make Yuan Hu and the others pay back for all the grievances they suffered in the Saint Institute of the Empire of Qin. Luo Qingtong's eyes were cold. She wouldn't let anyone around her suffer for nothing. Yuan Hu and the others weren't qualified to be heaven-grade students. But among them, except for Ling Tianhan, almost all of them had just entered the school and could be admitted to the Great Qin Sacred Academy immediately. Just this point alone showed that their potential and qualifications were not inferior to the heaven-grade students of the Saint Institute of the Empire of Qin. The elders only looked at people with old-fashioned eyes. They only saw that Yuan Hu and the others' qualifications were not obvious at the moment. How could they see that they were hiding their strength? It was like a junior high student jumping to Peking University or Tsinghua University. How could you say that he was not as good as the top students of Peking University or Tsinghua University? It was ridiculous. There was also the first elder of the Holy Institute. He wanted her to return within 3 days and raise her strength by 1 level before he would acknowledge her leave. Otherwise, she and Yuan Hu would be kicked out of the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. This was clearly done on purpose. She didn't think that she would be able to make it back in time. Tomorrow she would let them know what a true genius was. Heaven stage students from the Empire of Qin's Holy Academy? They were all *T. Did they really think that she cared about the resources and treatment of a heaven stage student? Luo Qingtong's voice was cold. After changing her clothes, she rushed out of the back door and rushed towards the saint capital of the Empire of Qin. At the same time, in the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin, Yuan Hu and the others were eventually kicked out by the Heavenly Palace. A group of people stood at the entrance of the Sky Hall's dormitory and were being pointed at by passers-by. Look, it's just a group of people. Other than that Su Xiaoxiao and Sima Ju who have some talent, the others are trash who might not even be able to enter the Earth stage. I heard that there are 2 who might not even be able to enter the profound stage, but they shamelessly went through the back door and entered our heavenly palace. The most shameless one is their so-called boss, Luo Qingtong. Not only did she go through the back door, she even took an inch and wanted a mile. She took a few months of leave and still hasn't returned. Don't you think it's disgusting? A group of people pointed at Yuan Hu and the others, causing them to be furious. You're talking nonsense. Our boss is the most powerful. She didn't go through the back door. Little tyrant Yuan was the first to be unable to take it and shouted angrily. Chapter 863. Do you really think no one knows who Luo Qingtong is? Su Jinue sneered and walked over with a group of people. She didn't even look at little tyrant Yuan and the others. She's just a daughter of an inferior country. Even if she has some strength and talent, she's nothing more than that. How dare you brag about her so much? Do you really think that senior brother will give you a way out just because she's here? Stop joking. Su Jinue looked very proud and pleased. Senior brother didn't break off the engagement with her just because he pitied her. Who knows what means she used to make senior brother unable to break off the engagement with her. However, as a woman, Luo Qingtong is extremely stupid. She actually helped you deal with senior brother. Does she think that by doing this, senior martial brother will look at her? Speaking of this, Su Jinue sneered. However, it's useless. Senior brother doesn't like her. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you have the support of evil Dr. Ghost Eye. This is the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin, not the Black Field. As she spoke, she immediately led a group of people and proudly walked past little Overlord Yuan and the others. Lu Long, you will replace them as Heaven Stage students in the future. This is the decision and recommendation of the Dragon Regiment of the Heavenly Palace. It has been approved by the Elders Guild and no one can doubt it. Those who doubt it can go to the Dragon Regiment to argue. See if you have the ability to do so. Hearing Su Jinue's words, Ling Tianhan, who had been lowering his head in shame and guilt, suddenly raised his head. Bulong. His gaze was fixed on the other party. It was this person who had joined forces with others to break his right hand after he entered the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. He knew the injury of his hand like the back of his hand. He knew where the injury on his right hand was the deepest. Even if it was healed, it wasn't as strong as the other parts of his hand. Ling Tianhan still remembered the sneer that Lu Long had when he broke his hand and told him that he was the one who came up with the idea of breaking his right hand to restrict the strength of the Ling family. Ling Tianhan, don't think that just because the Ling family has the support of the evil Dr. Ghost Eye, you can rest easy. So what if you become the new royal family of the Tianyu Empire? The fifth prince has already set his sights on the Empire of Qin. He would even become an important figure under His Highness King Wu. When I graduate from the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin in the future, the Empire of Tianyu can never compare with me. What's more, if the fifth prince is able to stand out in the grand meeting half a year later, even evil Dr. Ghost Eye won't be able to do anything to him. Your Ling family should just wait for his revenge obediently. Today's move is just an appetizer. Lu Long's words flashed through Ling Tianhan's mind, and he almost lost control and rushed over. The latter looked at him and sneered, "What? Ling Tianhan, you're not convinced? Unfortunately, what can you do even if you're not convinced? After tomorrow, you and that Luo Qingtong will be kicked out of the house. I'd like to see how pathetic you are then. It's a pity that Luo Qingtong. She betrayed us and helped others to deal with the fifth prince. If she were here, we would teach her a lesson." Chapter 864. As the group of people spoke, they laughed loudly and proudly walked away in front of Ling Tianhan and the others. Looking at their departing backs, Yuan Hu and the others clenched their fists tightly. These bastards. Once Yuan Mo's revenge was launched, it would cause a huge commotion. Yuan Hu and the others didn't have the strength to fight back. They had just entered the sacred academy of the Empire of Qin to cultivate for a while. He couldn't compare to Yuan Ma's influence and strength in the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. Yuan Hu and the others clenched their fists tightly. It's all because we're too useless. If it weren't for this, they wouldn't have had to endure such humiliation. Furthermore, they had implicated Luo Qingtong and made her the target of ridicule. If they were strong enough and could directly enter the top 100 of the Soaring Dragon list, they wouldn't be afraid of Yuan Mo and the others. No matter how much the Grand Elder of the Sacred Academy valued tradition and rules, he wouldn't order them to drop out. They could even have the right to talk to the mentors of the Sacred Institute like the Heavenly Palace's Dragon Group. Yuan Hu and the others gritted their teeth as they thought about it. He was still not strong enough. He had really lost face for boss. If the boss was here, Yuan Ma and the others wouldn't have any room to be arrogant. "Boss, where are you? Have you heard the news? Could he make it back in time?" The group of people bit their lips so hard that they bled. They clenched their fists tightly and pinched their fingers hard. There was an indescribable pain and suffering in his heart. There was both hatred and helplessness towards their own lack of strength, as well as worry and fear towards Luo Qingtong. If boss really didn't know about the news and couldn't rush back, thinking of the nasty words and arrogance that Yu Wenmo and the others would say when the time came, the group was infuriated. At the same time, Luo Qingtong was also rushing towards the holy capital of the Empire of Qin at an extremely fast speed. Your Highness, do you want to protect Ling Tianhan and the others? In the holy capital of the Empire of Qin, a group of people gathered around Mo Chenyi in the Crown Prince's eastern palace, where the Crown Prince of the Empire of Qin lived. They looked at the dragon of the Empire of Qin. These people were all heaven-grade students from the Heavenly Hall of the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin. Every one of them could be ranked in the top 100 of the Heaven ranking of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. At this moment, they were all looking at the young man in front of them who was like a clear spring, quietly waiting for his decision. We'll see tomorrow, the elegant young man said slowly. This bet is no longer just about Yu Wenmo wanting to make a move against the Ling siblings. It is also a battle between the elders of the Sacred Academy and the Grand Supreme Dean's faction. At the same time, his expression was indifferent. It's also because of the fight between me and Mo Xian. As Mo Chenyi said this, his eyes narrowed slightly. The cold light that was faintly discernible within them did not reveal itself. Most of the elders in the academy supported Mo Xian. As for the Grand Supreme Dean's faction, they supported him. Although the first elder of the Sacred Academy didn't support anyone, he still abided by tradition. Now it was obvious that he was being used as a weapon to attack the Grand Supreme Dean. After the Grand Supreme Dean was defeated, the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin would be completely under the control of the elders of the Sacred Academy. At that time, many students in the Sacred Academy would become Mo Qinshuan's followers. As the king of martial arts of the Empire of Qin, what did Mo Qinshuan lack the most after his rise? Connections and power and a background that was enough to compete with him. Once he controlled the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin, all of these would no longer be a problem. Those students who graduated from the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin were all outstanding figures in the Sacred Dynasty. Chapter 865. Except for a few peerless geniuses, all the powerhouses and ministers in the Empire of Qin came from the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. If Mo Qinshuan controlled the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin, his power and foundation would be able to compete with Mo Chenyi. Therefore it was no longer a question of whether Mo Chenyi could protect Ling Tianhan and the others. The question was that the Elders Association would definitely not allow him to protect them. If he had to protect them, there was only one way. That was, the Grand Dean had to take the blame and resign, admitting that he had made a mistake this time. In the future he would not interfere with anything in the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. At the same time, as the disciple of the Grand Dean, the Dean had to accept some punishment. However, in this way the Grand Dean's power would completely collapse in the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. Without the Grand Dean, the Dean and the others could not withstand the pressure from the Elders Association. Therefore Mo Chenyi could not make up his mind at all. The best way is that Luo Qingtong can come back smoothly. It would be best if she could win the bet. In this case they could suppress the Elders Association of the Saint Academy. However, Mo Chenyi did not know whether Luo Qingtong could do it. After all, 3 days was really too short. If he guessed right, she should have gone back to the Chu after leaving the Empire of Tianyu. In such a short time, even if she received the news immediately, how could she come back immediately? Just as Mo Chenyi was thinking about this, he suddenly received a message. After reading that piece of news, Mo Chenyi's elegant eyes suddenly burst out with an incomparably strong light. Afternoon tomorrow, if Luo Qingtong can't come back in time, try your best to protect her and the people around her. At all costs. He said in a low voice and crushed the message. It was sent by the Grand Supreme Dean. The message said that if Luo Qingtong couldn't make it back in time, he would lower his head to the Elders Guild and admit his mistake. He would protect the qualifications of Luo Qingtong and the people around her and ask Mo Chenyi for help. The Grand Principal actually had to make such a choice. He would rather lose his reputation in order to protect Luo Qingtong and the others. It must be known that with the prestige of the Grand Principal, Even if Luo Qingtong couldn't make it back in time, no one could do anything to him. At most, some of his rights would be reduced. Now, he made such a choice because he wanted to exchange the Grand Supreme Dean's bloodline for Luo Qingtong and the others to stay in the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. Ma Chenye's estimation of Luo Qingtong was already high enough, but he didn't expect that the Grand Dean would be willing to make such a sacrifice for Luo Qingtong. Was that gorgeous and wanton girl really worth the Grand Dean's sacrifice? Ma Chenye remembered the scene he saw in the imperial palace of the Empire of Tianyu. The girl was dressed in red, dazzling and domineering. Perhaps she was really worth the Grand Supreme Dean using his bloodline to exchange for her? What? Your Highness. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. Then, after knowing that this was the Grand Supreme Dean's decision, they suddenly fell silent. But their hearts were entangled with strong doubts. They didn't know what kind of ability Luo Qingtong and the others had that was worth the Grand Supreme Dean doing this. It must be known that this meant that the Grand Supreme Dean's bloodline was completely abolished. Under such circumstances, the Grand Supreme Dean still wanted to protect Luo Qingtong and the others. Chapter 866. Everyone thought so. Their hearts were filled with doubt and dissatisfaction. Soon the next day arrived. It was also the last day of the 3-day agreement. If Luo Qingtong couldn't come back after noon, she would be expelled from the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin, along with the other students who came from the Tianyu Academy. First Elder was sure that Luo Qingtong couldn't come back. He wanted to let the students of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin know that the rules of the Saint Academy couldn't be violated. So he called all the students here. Almost all the students of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin gathered in the square of the Saint Academy, except for those who went out to practice and those who were in seclusion. Yunhu and the others stood in the center of the square. First Elder led the members of the Saint Academy and stood not far in front of them. The Grand Dean led the Dean of the Saint Academy and the others to the left of Yunhu and the others. The other places were filled with the students of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. UNMO, Su Jinyue and the others stood not far from First Elder and the others. UNMO was accompanied by Lu Long and the others, as well as some disciples of the Saint Dynasty of the Empire of Qin. Seeing Yuanhu and the others standing in the center of the square, he sneered. They deserve it. We will avenge the royal family of Tianyu. Today's battle is just the beginning. They won't know what despair is until they are expelled from the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. Yuan Mo's face was cold. He looked at the man beside him and said, "Haven't you found out the reason? Why did the Crown Prince suddenly help the Ling family? Why did they go to the Empire of Tianyu?" Yuan Mo said with a gloomy face. He had sent people to deal with the Ling family. He thought it would be easy, but he didn't expect that the Ling family would be uprooted. Not only that, but King Wu's forces were also involved. He got the news that the envoys offended the Princess of Chu. What a joke. How could those people be so stupid as to offend the Princess of Chu? It seemed that the Crown Prince was purposely punishing the envoys. But Yuan Mo was more concerned about why the Crown Prince would suddenly attack. How could it appear in the Tianyu Empire? It said that the Crown Prince went out with the Grand Tutor for a walk and happened to pass by the Tianyu Empire. He saw them doing things in the name of the Holy Dynasty. The Grand Tutor is going to the Tianyu Empire to congratulate the newly crowned Princess of Great Chu. That person said. Ridiculous. Yuan Ma's voice was cold. What country is near the Tianyu Empire? How could a princess of the Great Chu appear in a place like the lower, middle and upper tier countries? This is clearly just an excuse. Yuan Ma's eyes were clouded. If he guessed correctly, the Crown Prince and the others were coming for him. Or perhaps they were aiming for the Martial King Palace behind him. The Ling family was lucky to have been promoted to a commandery by the Crown Prince. But so what? The Crown Prince was already at the end of his rope. Sooner or later, King Wu would become the ruler of the Empire of Qin. At that time, he would have plenty of opportunities to slowly play with the Ling family. It was just a commandery. When he stood out in that grand meeting, not to mention a commandery, even the 4 holy dynasties would have to treat him with respect. At that time he would definitely avenge the Tianyu imperial family. He wouldn't even let that evil Dr. Ghost Eye go. Chapter 867. On the other side, the corner of the Grand Supreme Dean's mouth twitched as he looked at the sun that was gradually rising above his head. Ai Luo Qingtong, you little evil doctor, you've really screwed me over. Didn't I tell you not to take so many days off? Why was I so soft-hearted? Great, now I've screwed myself over. Girl, if you come back in the future, you'll have to work hard for me. Otherwise I'll take the blame and resign unjustly. The Grand Supreme Dean muttered in his heart as he looked at the sky above his head, feeling a burst of apprehension. He didn't know if that little girl had received the news. Could she come back on time? Just as he was suffering in his heart, Zhou Xian suddenly stepped forward and knelt on the ground, saying, Grand Supreme Dean instructors, I'm willing to use my chance to stay in exchange for Luo Qingtong to stay. Please don't expel her. The sun above her head was almost at its highest point. Zhou Xian was about to cry. I won't stay in the holy court of the Empire of Qin. I'll use my quota and opportunity in exchange for Luo Qingtong to stay. Instructors, please promise me. Sima Zhu didn't say anything and also took the initiative to stand up. His 10,000 poisons body was very important in the martial arts academy. Like Zhou Xian, he was considered a genius seed in each academy and was very cherished. This time, regarding the expulsion of Luo Qingtong and the people around her, the great teachers of their respective academies had fought hard to protect them. But now they took the initiative to ask to give up the chance to stay in order to let Luo Qingtong stay. I'll stay. Go. Sima Zhu's words were very concise. The young man's face was like an elf. Originally, he had an untainted temperament. Coupled with the cold aura that kept people thousands of miles away that he had cultivated over the years, he was more like a person who walked out of a painting. Only when he talked about Luo Qingtong did he have a trace of human aura. Zhou Xian isn't enough. Add me in change. Nonsense. As soon as his words left his mouth, the two great masters of the Martial Arts Institute and the Pharmaceutical Institute immediately rebuked him. The two of them were saved by him and the others with great difficulty. What was he trying to do? Did they want all their efforts to go to waste? The two of them looked furious. Just as they were about to say something, the first elder of the Sacred Academy's cold voice rang out. Sure. Threatening me with this? Do you really think that the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin has no more geniuses without you? The great elder looked at Zhou Xian and Sima Zhu with an unkind expression. If it weren't for the fact that these two people had some redeeming qualities, and were considered to be the best of the best among the heaven grade students, he wouldn't have agreed to let them stay. Now they actually wanted to threaten him with the opportunity to stay behind. Luo Qingtong has seriously violated the rules of the Holy Academy by asking for leave for so many days. No mercy is allowed. The first elder of the Sacred Academy said coldly. He looked at Zhou Xian and Sima Zhu and said, Since you want to accompany her so much, then let's go together. No one is allowed to plead for them anymore. As soon as Luo Wu arrives, Luo Qingtong and the people around her will all be kicked out of the Sacred Academy. The first elder of the Sacred Academy shouted with a cold face. Ha! In the direction of Yu Wenma and the others, Su Jinue sneered at once. Chapter 868. However, they would rather not stay in the Saint Academy than let Luo Qingtong stay. Senior brother, they are deliberately trying to disgust you. Su Jinue said to Yu Wenma. Humph. Yu Wenma's voice was cold. That stupid woman? Yu Wenma's face was full of disdain. He had no feelings for Luo Qingtong before, but now, after what happened to the siblings of the Ling family, he was extremely disgusted by Luo Qingtong. That woman is almost 16 years old, right? His heart was cold. I should find a chance to marry her and then lock her up in a place. Then it doesn't matter what she becomes. As long as he married Luo Qingtong and activated the engagement token, what did Luo Qingtong become in the end have anything to do with him? She was just a woman with mediocre talent and strength, and was stupid enough to be used against him. If it weren't for the fact that the engagement was beneficial to him, he wouldn't have cared about her at all. It was ridiculous that the woman did all kinds of things and even got involved with the people of the Ling family. Thinking of this, Yu Wenma's heart was full of disgust. At the same time, the sun was high in the sky. It's noon. Hearing this, the people in the square were in an uproar. Humph. The first elder of the Saint Academy said coldly. He snorted and raised his voice. In the history of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin, there has never been a student who acted so recklessly. Luo Qingtong of the Tianyu branch doesn't care about the rules of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. After entering the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin, she didn't register for the Saint Academy this time. Not only that, but she also asked for leave for many days. The Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin can't afford to have such an arrogant student who doesn't want to study. As for Su Xiaoxiao Yunhu Sima Ju Ling Tianhan Ling Yu Ling Tianchen, and Si Wenhao who saw her as their boss, they also disrespected the rules of the Great Qin Academy. Now I announce that the students of the Tianyu branch who entered the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin and Luo Qingtong are expelled from the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. Before he finished his words, the Grand Dean's voice came from the other side. Wait. He gritted his teeth and stepped forward. All right, all of this it's my... Before he could finish his words, there was a sudden bang. A loud explosion came from outside. This sound was unusually loud and ear-piercing. In the next second, the voice of the guards of the Great Qin Sacred Academy suddenly rang out. Who? How dare you trespass the Empire of Qin? Hearing this, the expressions of everyone in the square changed. How dare someone trespass the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin? Did they want to die? Everyone looked at the Grand Elder and the Grand Dean. Everyone here was a powerhouse who had surpassed the Sage realm. Even if the people of the Blackfield came to break into the Saint Academy, as long as Ming Zun didn't come in person, they wouldn't be able to stop them. While everyone was thinking about this, the Grand Elder on the other side was furious. Bastard! How dare anyone come to the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin and behave atrociously? I'd like to see who on earth is. Before he could finish his sentence, a few figures suddenly flew towards the crowd with a loud bang. The next second, these people fell in front of the Grand Elder and the other people of the Saint Academy. There was a burst of wailing everywhere. These people were the guards outside the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. After these people smashed into the ground, a clear and loud sound rang out from not far away. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.